What's up, everybody? My name's Parasite. Welcome back to the Jose Mourinho Challenge with Sporting. Today is the end of season one, end of season review, and off-season special. Obviously, we weren't here very long for much of the season, just the last 4 games, but most of what we're going to look forward to is how we improve this team and take a team that was comfortably outside of a title challenge and how do we win the league with it. So that's the goal. If we look at the new arrivals, obviously we didn't have a hand in any of them. I don't know if anyone was actually brought in other than who was already going to be brought into the club. I don't think they actually made any signings. But Sarabia was good. I'd like to get him for another year, but his wages are very high. And I'm a little skeptical that they'll let us get him on a free again. So that's probably not going to happen. Garte, good player to have around. Good signing for them. Vinagre, though, 6.58 average rating. Highest paid player at the club. Absolutely dreadful signing by, I don't know if it's I'm assuming it's a real life signing. I'm pretty sure it is. Dreadful. And we're going to have to deal with it because we can't do anything about it. I can't sell him because he's just going to be joining for the first time. And there's no way to get rid of him. So we're kind of screwed there. We have to wait, almost throw away a season just so we can get rid of that waste of wages. Transfers out. Cabral is actually a good player. I'd like to go to Wolves. I mean, yeah, he'd have been nice to have. He's really freaking good. I don't know if that's actually a real signing by Wolves. I don't think he's actually in the Wolves team, is he? I might be mistaken. I mean, obviously it makes sense coming from Portugal, but yeah, I could really use that guy in this team. We don't have great wingers. At least don't have enough depth, enough good wingers. Some players loaned out. Eduardo Henrique did really good, but that's in, what's that, Saudi Arabia. Probably should be doing good there. Rosier, who's leaving on a free, or at least on an end of contract, or whatever he's on. Sporar actually played pretty well for Middlesbrough. He's probably going to be, might be in and around the team. Nuno Mendes obviously played very well, played a lot for PSG, so I'm expecting they're going to take up his optional future fee of $47.5 million. I'm pretty sure they're gonna exercise that. If not, I'll be very happy. I don't know. I think either way, we're in a good spot. Either we're gonna get $47.5 million, which I can do a lot of things with that, or we're gonna get the best left back in the game. I think I'd rather have Nuno Mendes, and he's got a contract here till 2025, so we could actually hold on to him. Doubt that's gonna happen though. Most of these players aren't going to do anything for them. Some of these were just dreadful or barely even played. Yeah. So many players loaned down. I should be making some money because I'm going to be selling most of these players because they're pretty much all garbage. We expected to qualify for the Champions League. We did not do that. Braga beats us to the third Champions League spot, and we get Europa League football. Guaranteed to get in the group stage, but now I just need to win it, I guess. Win the Europa League. Champions League didn't do very well for them. They got knocked out in the group stage. Bottom of their group. They're expected to be competitive. I don't know if that even classifies as being competitive. That was not good. They want us to reach the final of the Liga Portugal placard. They got knocked out in the 5th round by Benfica. I mean, yeah, it's kind of understandable. Allianz Cup, they don't care. I don't even know what this competition is. Then another cup. Oh, that's a Super Cup, and we lost to Braga. So hopefully we'll be doing a lot better in my first full season of the club. The biggest win was a 4-0 win over Varzim. Match remembers a 3-0 win over Portimonense. And the goal of the season was, is this one we did? I think it is. The 2-1 win over Braga. Yeah, this is the game at the end of the season. The 2-1 win over Braga. At the end of the season, the Santos goal. Let's look at that again. I don't remember the goal perfectly. Let's check. All right, Nuno Santos. Let's check it out. Let's check it. Okay, watch goals. Maybe. Are you gonna? Okay, I think it's actually gonna work. Let's see this. Garte. Maybe since I wasn't at the club for the first most of the season. I mean, that's pretty good. Maybe that is legitimately the goal of the season because that was actually pretty good. Finances, reputation didn't change. No sponsorships. Decent sponsorship money, though. Broadcast revenue, pretty dang good, but that's Champions League group stage. We're not going to get the same kind of broadcast revenue next season unless we win the Europa League. And even then, I don't know if we'll get as much. Mateus Nunez, most sold shirt. Pedro Gonçalves, Nuno Santos, Sebastian Casares, and João Palhinha. Makes sense. They're all pretty much all of our best players in the club. This is what the manager before me actually ran, the 5-2-3. Again, they do have some good center backs. Vidal is leaving. So maybe if he was staying around the club, I'd consider doing a 3 at the back. Just because he's a pretty good player, so to get him involved. But they actually played Nuno Santos most of the year as a left wing back. Not sure about that. I mean, compared to the other wing backs, maybe not the worst call. Nunez, Palhinha, Sarabia, Gonçalves, and Tomas. Tomas ends up with a 7.01, but I still think I might look to improve on him. Sarabia is the player of the season, which isn't ideal considering he's most likely not coming back. The young player of the season, Pedro Gonçalves. Goal of the season was all Nuno Santos. Tomas wins top goal scorer with 18 goals. It's okay, but Sarabia, 10 assists. Gonçalves, 5 player of the matches. Highest average rating was Sarabia. Palhinha, fastest goal, 9 seconds. That's impressive. What do they want us to do next season? Attacking, develop players in the club's youth system, sign players on the age of 23. I don't know about the attacking football. I don't think that's going to happen. We're Jose Mourinho. I want to qualify for the Champions League again, so got to get a top 3 finish. And why does it say Europa Conference League? We're in the Europa League. I'm almost positive. Wait. How are we not in the Europa League? I checked the rules, and it said 4th place was a Europa League spot. Europa League group stage. Hello? That says Europa League group stage. Is it something because it's something with the cup? Or is it just because the league's not done yet because they don't have the playoffs done yet? But we should be guaranteed groups. I'm confused. I'm very confused. Who won the cups? Talking to Portugal. Who won it? Oh, it's not been played yet. I guess maybe that's why, because this hasn't been played. So other teams might actually get some more better European football, depending on who wins the cup. Porto wins it. I think another Europa League spot will go to the league. So the team below us might get Europa League football. Maybe that's why. Hopefully that's why, because we should have Europa League football. So reached semifinal of the Conference League. I mean, I still expect pretty much the same for the Europa League. If you do want us to win it by 2025, I think we can do that. Let's accept that. And now let's look at the squad. I've got basically the squad I want. I mean, I don't want Vuvum Nagare to be our left back, but if we look at the wages, $48.5K, $8,000 more than any other player in the team. Terrible contract. Absolutely terrible. So I can't justify paying him the most on the team and then not starting him. Or getting a guy maybe even on more wages to start over him. Having 2 left backs at that high wages, I just can't do it. So he's going to have to play the season as the left back. We're going to pretty much write him off for a season. You know, crossing our fingers, next season we can actually sell him. Maybe in January we can actually sell him. That would be ideal. But 2 positions in the starting lineup I think we need. Striker, I'm not sold on Thiago Tomas. He missed so many one-on-one chances in those last 4 games. Mostly the last 3. He got a hat trick in the first game he played for us, but after that game, I'm pretty sure he didn't get a single goal. Not a single goal. Played pretty garbage. Missed a lot of clear-cut chances. I think we need a better, more clinical striker, especially if we're gonna play this tactic where we're gonna play defensive. We need a good striker because you're not gonna get a lot of goals from your midfielders. Really, your wingers are a little bit further back. They might not get as many goals. It's gonna be a lot up to the striker and the attacking midfielder to get the goals. And if your striker's missing all the great clear-cut chances you create for him, you're just going to lose games. So I think we need a better striker. If we get that $47.5 million for Nuno Santos, we can definitely get a better striker. Also, saying that, if they don't sign Nuno Santos, or Nuno, not Nuno Santos, what's his name? Nuno Mendes. They don't actually sign him for that 47.5. He will definitely take Ruben Vinagre's spot. I believe he's even on less wages than Ruben Vinagre. 12K. So he's on 12K. He's the best young left back in the game. Ruben Vinagre, who's pretty garbage, is on 48.5. I think I figured out the problem. But yeah, the other position I think we need, because I doubt we're going to get Sarabia back, is another either left or right sided winger. Santos can play either side. So it doesn't really matter if they're left or right footed either. This can be an inverted wing back or a wing back. This can even be a winger on this side if I needed to. So we do have Bruno Tabata, but he's not amazing, I don't think. Like 6.82 on the season. I think we can get better. And something I mentioned before, the way to improve on a team is to turn your okay starters into pretty good backups and bring in a better player. So that's what I'm going to do. Looking for a better player on the wing. I like Nuno Santos. I think he's really good. So I don't know if I think it'd be hard for us to improve on Nuno Santos. I think he's that good. So he's definitely going to start. I like our midfielders. I like our back line other than left back. That is dependent on whether we can get Porro for another year, or Porro permanently, because we have a buy clause in his contract, $10 million, but his wages are pretty high at Man City. He's probably going to want even more than that. Like if he's going to want like $70,000, $80,000 per week, I cannot do that. So just depends on what kind of wages he's going to be asking for. We should have the $10 million, especially if we sell Nuno Mendes, but we should still have the $10 million to be able to buy him. And I definitely want to buy him. He's very good. He's one of the better young right backs in the game. So, yep, definitely want that. And we do also need a backup winger because, like we've seen this season, we had 3 wingers. And now we're going to have 2 wingers. So, I think we need 2 more. And the guys coming back from loan, none of them are any good. Like Rosier, he's going to Besiktas. Alori, obviously former Liverpool guy, but he's just terrible. I'm going to sell him because he's just not good. Quaresma, also, he's got a little bit of potential, 20 years old, so he makes sense to loan out again and see if he can grow into being something. Jose Marsa, another young player that has a little bit of potential, so we'll loan him out again. Nuno Mendes, obviously, amazing. Just Doumbia, he's just not very good, so I'll probably sell him. Eduardo Henrique, I think, is going to be in the team this next season. I think he's going to be like our 5th midfielder. I think we need a 5th midfielder. Somebody that I think can both play that deep line playmaker, defend. He's not the best defensively, but he can play a defensive midfielder, defend, something like that. So he can play that other position, so he can be a little bit extra cover. Camacho, he's not very good, but he's only 21 years old. Another player we might loan out for another season. This guy is just terrible. He's no good. Why would I want this guy? He's 28 years old and he sucks. So I'm going to sell him. Bruno Tavares might stick around as like a 5th winger as well. He's pretty decent, actually. Only 2 stars. Young player, still 20 years old, but I think he's actually pretty decent. Passing of 11 is not great, but first touch of 11 is not great. But he's not dreadful anywhere. He's just not very good anywhere. So he might be our 5th winger. Actually, no. I think I'm going to put him out on loan because I think Gonzalo Plata is actually better. He's got some really good technicals and some really good physicals. His mentals are pretty garbage, but he's actually got some good numbers. 21 years old, a little bit of potential. He's going to be our 5th winger. Yeah, Tavares I'll loan out again. He's got a little bit more potential. So I want him to get a little bit more first-team football. Strikers, Luis Felipe, just a terrible player. Going to sell him if I can. Sporar, depends on what we do. If we can get a new starting striker, probably sell him. I don't think we need 4 strikers. I mean, do I sell him or do I sell Felipe or Paulinho? I mean, Paulinho's got better mentals. His mentals are very good. Technicals, I mean, he's a really good passer. 15 passing, 15 vision. That's pretty ridiculous for a striker. But he's. Do I need a creative striker? Not really. I need a guy that can put away chances. I don't know how good Paulinho is at that. How good Sporar? He's not much better. I mean, finishing is a little bit better. Long shots a little bit better. He's better physically. Obviously, nowhere near the passer. Not as good mentally. Might sell Sporar. And Pedro Mendes, another terrible player that I'm going to sell. I mean, his mental's actually pretty good. Physicals are decent. He's not terrible, but he's not good enough. It's another player we hopefully get some money for. With all that money we saved, hopefully we can get a couple of really good players. So now we're going to advance. I'm going to do a little scouting. See how we can improve this team. We are back for our first update. I've done a little bit of work. I've signed a bunch of staff. I also got my transfer budget. I was hoping I set in my mind I wanted 15 million. I thought if I got 15 million I could really do something. You see it right there. We got 4. They gave us $4 million. You want us to win the league against Porto and Benfica, and you're giving me $4 million and $30K in the wage budget? Like, I can't do anything. I kind of have to sell Nuno Mendes now, or I cannot make any signings. Unless all these people I'm going to sell to, I'm not going to sell them for much. Like, their values aren't high. Under $1 million. Just about $1 million. Under $1 million. This guy is going on a free, so of course the one guy that actually has a decent value, not getting any money for, $150K. I probably can't give that guy away. Nothing. Sporar, decent, but $2 million, still not much. It's a young guy I want to keep around. $1 million, $1 million. Eduardo Quaresma, we could get a decent amount for, $3 to $5 million. This guy I want to keep around, though, Bruno Tavares. So, there's not much money there. So, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think we kind of have to sell Nuno Mendes. And the one big worry I have is if they do take up the buy option on Nuno Mendes, if the money doesn't come in until after the loans end, which means I can't exercise my buy option on Pedro Porro because I have to do that before he goes back on loan. And I don't know if I'll be able to do that, if I'll have the money to do that, depending on when Nuno Mendes leaves. When I get the money for him, if he does sign for PSG. That is worst case scenario. I actually get the money, and then I can't sign Pedro Porro. That is worst case scenario. Then I need a right back, and a striker, and two wingers. And also, I don't have much transfer revenue. I've actually increased it. It was like 45%. They went up to 57%. That's still not enough. That means if I sell Nuno Mendes, I'm getting 20-some million. What can I can sign? If I can still sign Porro, that's half of it gone. And I have 10 million to sign a striker and 2 wingers. 4 million. They really screwed me over there. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. So I haven't really started scouting yet because, right now there's nothing I can't do anything with $4 million. I'll look at some end of contracts if there's anyone good there, but even then I don't have the wage budget to sign him. So I'm just in a very bad spot in terms of actually improving this team. And we have 20 million in the balance, and they give me 4. Like, come on, you. That's ridiculous. So, and another thing that's frustrating. I was wondering why it said we had Europa Conference League football, and I thought, okay, it'll all fix itself once the cup ends, which Maritimo beat Porto. And for that, they get Europa League football. They are going to get absolutely brutalized in Europe. Like, they're an average Portuguese side going against some of the best sides in some of the smaller nations in Europe. They're going to get absolutely destroyed. And we don't get Europa League football. We have Europa Conference League. It said in the rules, I showed it to you just like a couple minutes ago, that we got Europa League group stage football. Now it says we get Europa Conference League. What changed? Why are we suddenly getting Europa Conference League instead of Europa League group stage? Why are there no Europa League spots in the league? 3 Champions League spots, 0 Europa League spots. I'm almost positive if Porto would have beaten Maritimo, we would have gotten Europa League football. Because they already had the Champions League locked up, so it would have gone to the league. And I think we would have got it here in 4th. So, Maritimo beating Porto has screwed us out of Europa League football. We are in the Europa freaking Conference League. We're not even in the Europa Conference League group stage. We're in the 3rd qualifying round. I feel like I have to win the Europa Conference League now. This hasn't started well. has not started well. I have no money. I'm in the Europa Conference League, so I'm not going to get any money from European competition because they give out like pennies. I am. I had a lot of optimism going into this offseason and into this, signing with Porto, with Sporting. I had a lot of optimism. It's kind of gone. So now I just keep advancing, see what happens with Nuno Mendes. Hopefully it all works out and I can sell him for 47.5 million, whatever it is, and I'll sign Pedro Porro, and then I'll use the rest of the money to maybe get in a few decent players. Maybe I can move that transfer budget to wage budget and sign some end of contract guys. There's still a chance that we can really improve this team, but a lot could go wrong, and it very well might. And we are back for the last part of the offseason. That is the transfer recap. I've done almost all my business, and we've got a new looking first team. Some players have gone. A lot of players had to go. Some players have joined. Some pretty high profile players. So I am going to say we started off this offseason after the loanies went back and everything like that. We got our loanies back because we had a lot of loanies out on pretty big wages. We had $4 million of transfer budget, and we were $60,000 over our wage budget. We are now $20 million with a transfer budget and $82,000 in our wage budget in the green. So a lot of wheeling and dealing has happened, and the team is in a much better financial position than when I took over. There's currently $80 million in the bank. I have done a deal for this team. I think we're in a pretty good position. Can we challenge for the league? I think so, but everybody thinks so after they've done all their transfers. But I think I've done some good business. Got some players in on some pretty good wages. I think I've gotten some of the players I didn't really want to get rid of, but it just had to be done. Some players I really, really wanted to get rid of because they were on a lot of wages and were not very good. So if we start with the outs, go to the transfers, transfer history. Some players we already knew was leaving. Fidal was leaving on a free. We knew that. Rosier was leaving for $5.75 million. It's pretty good money, but he's a decent right back, so it's kind of a loss, but we have quite a few right backs. Pinto, like a lot of these are just young players. Doumbia, to get $1.4 million for this guy and to get him off the books, because he's on currently $18K. I think it was over $10K for us. I don't know exactly what his wages were. That is a good deal. A lot of them are just younger players. Maria, just young players on 1 to 10K wages that just were never going to be a part of this team. Xabi, Felipe. There's the big one. Sebastian Casares has left to join Arsenal for $53 million. Not all of it's up front. I think about, let me see. Can I see exactly what the transfer was? Doesn't say, but I think like $40 million is up front, about $13 million over 3 years. I'm pretty sure that's what the deal is. So obviously he's our best player, but he's 31 years old. And to get $53 million for a 31-year-old who had 2 years left on his deal and he was not going to sign a new contract. So it's either get 2 years out of him and then let him go for nothing, or get $53 million in for him right now, completely change this squad, and have the ability to change the squad. I would have been able to bring in players if I didn't sell Sebastian Casares for $53 million. Because you might see something that's not on the outs. There's a big name not on the outs. That is because Nuno Mendes is here at Sporting for the foreseeable future. The PSG put in an offer for him. They matched his release clause, and he turned them down. He turned down their contract to stay at Sporting. So we have Nuno Mendes until 2025 at least. I'm going to try to get him on as long of a deal as possible because I want to keep him here. But that is our left back position solved. We now have the best young left back in the game. That is huge. So keeping him and losing Coates, I think it kind of balances each other out. And then we got a lot of money to be able to make some good signings. Most of these other ones are just young players. Sporar, another real big one. He was on like 30K, and he was our fourth striker. So I desperately wanted to get him out. Sold him for $2 million to Tenerife. Gaspar, another one on some decent money. And Henrique was another big one. He was on 20K a week, and he was going to be like our 6th or 7th midfielder. So to get a little bit of money for him and to get him off the wage budget, huge. Like I said, we went from negative 60 to plus 80. And we brought some good players. You might have been looking at the ends. Some of these were already agreed on before I got here. The Vinagre, Muani, Abisher, and Cometio, of which Abisher is actually a pretty good player. Got him from Switzerland. He's actually really good. He's going to be our main backup midfielder for us this year. So he's good to have. Vinagre, obviously, going to be the backup now, but I still think he's overpaid. He's not on exactly as much as I thought, because he was on like 43K. That was his wage at Wolves. But I guess he agreed to wage here at 32.5, so not as bad, but still not very good for a 2-star player. So I'll still probably looking to get rid of him. And then Rando Kolo Muani, could play wing, could play striker, just a depth player. We lacked depth on the wings, especially a little bit at striker too. So good, useful player to have. Another player that was signed before I got here. But the first big signing we made is Sebastian Casares. He is the Sebastian Coates replacement. From Club America, $8.5 million. He's pretty good. 22 years old. Uruguayan, so swapping a Uruguayan for a Uruguayan. Physicals are very good. You might notice he's 5'11". That is his downside. I mean, that's the big difference between him and Coates. Coates is 6'5" with amazing jumping reach and heading. Xeris has amazing heading, but he's 5'11". 12 jumping reach. I think he'll be alright. Nacio next to him is decently big, so I think we'll be alright. But his technical ability, 16 heading, 15 marking, 15 tackling, 15 positioning, 16 work rate. His mentals, except for his decisions, that kind of sucks, but he's not going to play as a ball player. He's going to play just a normal central defender. Maybe even no nonsense, but probably start as a central defender. But he just looks really good. As a pure defender, I think he's a solid replacement for Coates. And we got him for $8.5 million. He's on $30K a week. So he's on about $15K a week less than Coates was on. And we got him for much cheaper, and he's much younger. I think it's a pretty good bit of business. He's not as good, but he's still good. He's our main replacement. And the big name, we have signed Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale has signed to be our next striker. I think with his physical ability, I don't think he can play on the wings. 33 years old, 11 pace, 12 acceleration, 10 agility, 11 balance. I don't think he can play on the wings anymore. But as a striker, it says his best roles are trequartista and poacher. I'm going to start him as a deep lying forward. I think he fits there really well. He's got all the mentals for it. He's got the finishing. He's got the first touch, passing, technique. Doesn't rely on his physicals nearly as much. I think he can be a clinical finisher for us. That is what we needed. We really needed a clinical finisher. Tomas was not that. So I'm hoping Gareth Bale can be. I mean, obviously he's got pedigree. 30K a week, too, on his wages. Like, that's cheap for freaking Gareth Bale. And it's only a 1-year deal. So if he doesn't work out, we can get rid of him. He does have another year if he plays 20 games. So if we play 15 games and he sucks, I just won't play him anymore. So I kind of got a pretty good out. Only a 1-year deal. I think that's a great bit of business. He might not look amazing with his physicals, but just ridiculous technicals. We need goals, and I think Gareth Bale can get us goals. And then the other big name, Douglas Costa, has joined to be our rotational winger. He's actually going to start, I think, but he can also cover either side on the wings. I mean, 31 years old, he's still not out of his peak. He's very fast, amazing technicals, mentals, good where you need them to be. Obviously, he's Brazilian, so he speaks Portuguese. I just thought it was a perfect fit. And on 17.5K wages. Like, that is really cheap. And it's Douglas Costa. Brazilian international, 31 cap Douglas Costa. I think that's a good bit of business. 31, obviously we've signed a couple old players, but I mean, if we can win the league because of them, we can raise our reputation, we can buy some better young players. I mean, I just think they were, for freeze, I had to do it. I had to do the deals. We needed the players on those positions, and they were the best options available. And our final signing, our new right back, because we did not get Pedro Porro back. I did not, by the time, like, the loans went away, and I had $4 million and like 20K in wage budget. I had to pay $10 million, and he was going to want, he's probably going to want to be our highest paid player if he would even negotiate a contract with me. He was going to be our highest paid player, so I just don't think there's any way we could have made the deal work. Obviously, it would have been amazing because he's valued at like 80 million now, and he's obviously one of the best young right backs in the world. But we just didn't have the funds to be able to do it. We couldn't raise the funds to do it, so we did not sign Pedro Porro. But I think getting Nuno Mendes back is kind of balances that out pretty well. But our replacement has been Ruben Aguilar. We got him in the PSG save as our backup right back, and he was actually really good. I think he's actually a very good starting right back. Like, he's got his mentals are very good. His physicals are completely solid, and technicals aren't bad either. Like, he doesn't have a below a 12 in any area. Positioning is his lowest at 12, and positioning for a fullback is typically like one of their lowest attributes. So he's got work rate, he's got tackling, he's got passing, he's got decent pace, decent crossing, dribbling. I think he's a very good player. He is 29, so another older player. But I looked for young options. There weren't many out there. I went for a couple. If we look at my short list, Denzel Dumfries, he ended up going to Benfica, but he's somebody I looked at for that right back spot. He had him, he was transfer listed for like 10 million, but he's currently on 61K a week. He wanted that to 80K a week, and I couldn't make Denzel Dumfries my highest paid player by over 20K. So he's gone to Benfica. And then another one we looked at, Kalulu, another option, 14 to 21 million. He's pretty good. He's young, but wages are going to be 30 to 40K. That's pretty high for a right back. I mean, I just couldn't quite pull it off. And then Teze was the other one we were looking at, another young right back. But 7 crossing, he's just not nearly as good as Aguilar is. And he is 22 with some ability to improve. But 24K wage is pretty decent. They got him for 7.75 million. Maybe I'll regret it one day, but I just think if we're trying to win the league, Ruben Aguilar is much more likely to help us do that than Jordan Teze. He has double his crossing, so that's kind of important. I think those are the main right backs I was looking at. Oh, no, Kelvin, another one. This is the one I thought I was going to get. Another Brazilian. He went to Bournemouth, but just super balanced, like ridiculously balanced. His lowest attribute is 11 on finishing and strength. He's quick. He's technically good. He doesn't have crazy numbers, like tackling only 12, marking only 12. But he's 21 years old, Brazilian. Just really good. You got him for 13.5 million. That was his release clause. I was going to do it, but he wanted 60 to 80K wages, even though he was only on like 10. So don't know why he suddenly wants that much money, but he got it from Bournemouth. So yeah, we just couldn't afford to give him that, so we couldn't get Kelvin. He was the guy I really wanted. Couldn't get him. So that is our team. If we look at the tactic, this is the squad I'm going to go with as our starting roster. Bale up top, as a deep line forward on the support. He could play poacher. He could play trequartista. We'll see. I'll just play around, see what gets him most involved. Gonçalves staying as that shadow striker. Douglas Costa gets the start on the left. Santos on the right. Nunez and Polina staying at defensive midfield. Mendes is our left back. Here he is, Nuno Mendes. Got him to 2025. He's just amazing. The best young left back in the game. Not even young. One of the best left backs in the game. Only on 12K wages. Yeah, he's going to make this team pretty good. Ignacio Casares is our starting center back pairing. Aguilar on the right. Adán, in his last year at the club, he is leaving at the end of his contract. We gave him an extra 1-year extension for this year, and he did not want to come back. So he is leaving, but 35 years old currently. Going to be 36. I don't mind it. He's pretty good, but for such an old player, he's on high wages, 40.5K. I think he's currently our highest paid player. Free up some money, and to get somebody in younger, which I am getting someone in younger, I think it's going to come through, and I think it's going to be a great signing. Maybe even the best signing of the transfer window so far. And it's a backup goalkeeper. That's going to be the start of next year. But Martin van der Voort has agreed a contract. We've agreed a transfer fee. He is coming. As long as he, accepts on the dotted line, he is coming to Sporting for, I think it's $9 million and it was 10 to 15K a week wages, I think. I think like 10. That's some good business. Van der Voort, one of the best young goalkeepers in the game. 20 years old, Belgian. He can be our backup this year. I think he'll be fine as a starter next year. Obviously, some of the numbers aren't quite as good. Only 14 reflexes, 15 one-on-ones, but he's 11 anticipations a little low. Positioning solid. He's just a very good young goalkeeper. He wants to be a backup. Perfect signing. I think that's a perfect signing. If we think he's not going to be able to cut it out next season, he can stay as a backup. I can get in an old veteran to start for a few years until he's ready. But as of now, we're penciling him as the starter next year. He should be coming in. And then I think that's the only one we're looking at. We are looking at maybe signing another player because teams have been interested in Luis Segovia. He is a young center back that's decent, but I don't think he's good. 11 heading, 10 marking, 12 tackling. Like, those three numbers itself make me not want to play him. He's on cheap wages. He's got solid mentals. He's pretty dang good physically. But if I can get him off the books and get in a much better player, maybe some potential, that'd be nice because, I mean, you don't know if Inacio is going to get bought. He's got a $53 million release clause. He does not want to negotiate a new contract right now. So he could be leaving. Casares is a good player, but doesn't have any potential. Are we going to win a Champions League with Sebastian Casares? Probably not. So if I can get in a young player that could be the future of this club and get rid of Segovia, who I just don't think is any good. He's currently the backup just because he can also play left back. So he's got a little bit of versatility for us. This is what our bench looks like. Segovia, Escayo, Ugarte, Braganca. Abashir is going to be the backup attacking mid this year. He's going to be really good there. I think that's a big improvement for us this season. Tabata becomes the backup winger, which I think improves us a lot. And Tomas is our backup striker. Obviously, he brings a lot of pace off the bench, so he can definitely be an impact player off the bench. I think the squad's in a lot better place than it was last year. We've got much more depth. We've got some star veteran presences with Douglas Costa and Gareth Bale up top. If Bale scores like I think he can, this could be a very good season. But that is it. That is all the business I'm going to do. I think we've still got money left, but I'll hold it on until January. Maybe if I find out we need some more players in some different positions, maybe Bale's not cutting it, I need a new striker, I'll have the money and the wage budget to bring somebody in. But I think having space available, having options available, which I just didn't have at the start of the transfer window, and having $80 million in the balance is going to help us a lot. We are in the Europa Conference League, third qualifying round. We're going against Celje, a Slovenian team. So that should be a comfortable victory. That's coming up next episode. So look forward to that. Look forward to your first look at Douglas Costa and Gareth Bale in a sporting shirt. And that's going to be the end of this episode. If you made it this far, why don't you like the video, subscribe, and click the bell. The links to all my socials and my Twitch are in the description. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.